all right. So, just back here doing another stream. Typically, I'd rather do it at night, but sometimes the opportunity comes around in the daytime. So why not? Why not go live for an hour or so? You get what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, man, over the past week or so, there's a lot of shit going on in the world, man. Whether we're talking about, an Israelite community or just world news. Um, a lot going on. It needs to be talked about. Hell, like, you know, first things to talk about is how I want to say maybe 3 days ago now, there was like a second attempt on Trump. And, you already got these dudes on YouTube, right? And like the first, 2 hours after this happens, got these idiots on YouTube like, oh, here's all the evidence that this was all like staged and, it's set up. It's like, come on. It's laughable to me how, these individuals on YouTube, specifically speaking of this guy, Russian Vids, right, RV Truth, or now he calls himself They Live Truth because his channel got taken down. But the dude's on there, like he somehow figured all this out magically in like 2 hours after it happened, right? So again, you can't just believe everybody you hear on the internet, man. Right? Just because they put the word, conspiracy or, fact by it or truth, that doesn't mean what they're saying is actually true. And it's amazing to me how, some people, they'll just believe anything they'll hear online. Like it's very easy to deceive a person. In fact, there's a saying that goes, it's, easier to, what's the word I'm looking for? It's easier to deceive somebody than it is to convince them that they got deceived. Excuse the background noise. There's some construction going on my left here, so do excuse that. Hey, how you doing, Charles? Been a long time since I was on your page, man. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, it's a lot going on. So as far as the whole Trump thing, for those that didn't see, this guy was like, he's camping out by Trump's, golf course he has down in, I believe they said it was West Palm Beach, which I've been there before, right? Because I used to live down in Florida. I've been to that beach at least once or twice before. But this dude was camping out at the golf course there to try to, hit him out, when he was going golfing. Because that's what he likes to do with his free time. But what happened was one of the Secret Service dudes spotted this dude, and they didn't kill him, right? He didn't get shot, but they took him into for questioning, right? They captured the dude and took him in for questioning. Hey, how you doing, Stephanie? Stephanie said they would try again. I mean, hell, when it happened the first time, which was like, what, 2 months ago now? Everybody was like, watch, that's going to probably happen again. There'd be copycats that, try to, get the job done because the dude didn't do it. Which that's crazy what happened, but I'll watch what I say on YouTube because, you can't say a whole lot on there. You know what I'm saying? Got to use certain code words when you describe some of these, world news. Hell, like, you can't even talk about the war in Israel without, using, you have to like talk about it in terms like a code word, right? You can't use the exact words for what's going on because you could get your video flagged. Which was funny because as I was coming up here to set up this stream, I was walking by and I saw, there was a couple of street signs that, somebody graffitied on, like probably one of the schools in the area because there's like 3 of them around here, but they writ on the sign, put stickers on and whatnot, but they put on like, free Gaza now and, stuff like that. And, And yeah, as I was saw that, I was thinking, oh shit, maybe I should have put that as the thumbnail, but it was already too late. I already scheduled it. You know what I'm saying? But but yeah, yeah, Stephanie. Like the I call it the yab because YouTube doesn't like certain words, right? But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Hell, it's hard to believe that that Corolla's been around for almost 5 years now. Believe that or not, right? Corolla been around for almost 5 years because it was and you know the details behind it. We're not going to get into that there here for obvious reasons, as I clearly mentioned multiple examples of the sensory. But it's first started in what was it, December, right? December 2019. That's why they gave it the name 19, right? Because that's the year it was discovered over in China, well, Wuhan, China. I think that's as much as I can say without getting censored. But but yeah, so it's almost been 5 years now since Corolla first came out, and it's still going around, right? Corolla never went away. People still have it. I literally know two people right now who actually have it, who are like sick, you know, in Medicare, you know, like older people, right, that are being taken care of right now for coming down with this Corolla thing. And I myself had it last year, so yeah, it didn't go anywhere. It's just people are they're getting immunity to it, as they would say, right? I'll read this comment. Stephanie said they're blaming Trump for that too. The poor guy, they're blaming him for everything. The media is. Yeah, I've seen that. I think Kamala was blaming Trump for all that as well. And it's just not Trump's fault, right? It's not his fault. First of all, how the hell could it be his fault if it originated from another country? And again, if it's from secret lab or whatever, that's up for conversation. But it isn't this guy's fault. Hell, like say for instance, right? It's not my fault, right? Me sitting here walking around in the United States. It's not my fault that there's slavery going on over in India today, right? Like that's not my fault that's happening. Again, it's a sad situation over there, but hell, it ain't my fault, right? It's the same thing with Trump, right? It isn't his fault what happened. Right? Even though he was the president, I mean, that doesn't mean that he can just magically, with like the snap of a finger, make it to where it doesn't leap the border. You know what I'm saying? There's a train off in the distance, so do excuse that. Hey, how you doing, Caden? I remember, I remember you. You're that dude that talked to the Perry the other day, man. Yeah, that was real funny. Yeah, Caden, I seen that, man. That was pretty funny. I mean, Perry, that dude, he's a simp, right? He's a simp and he's a wimp. Inside joke, right? He is a simp and a wimp, right? He's a big ass baby as well. Which we have a debate coming up in October on Praise I Am's channel, Lord willing. I mean, Caden, if you want to come up here, man, I'll let you up for like 20 minutes, but this isn't going to be too long of a stream. Plus, I'm out and about, so not the best area for me. But if you want to hop on for 20 minutes, I'll give you a chance. Just got to let me know. Yeah, you're right. I didn't get to watch your video yet, but I saw you put two videos up relating to it, like yesterday and maybe the night before. Watched maybe 2 minutes of it, but I didn't get to see the whole thing. But in all honesty, man, it really isn't too difficult to, prove that character wrong. Oh, that's cool, Caden. As I said, it's not the best time for me either. But that's cool, man. Another day, you're welcome to click that link and hop on here. And what you quoted somebody in there when you were on with Perry. You quoted this other pastor that had a debate with him. Forget the cat's name, right? That white dude. um, Powwow or something like that. Forgive me for saying it wrong, but Powwow or something like that. Uh, but yeah, I seen that video. I believe I watched it like last year or something. Man, he steamrolled Perry. Man, I mean that was an embarrassment right there. Right, that Powwow dude or whatever his name is, he completely steamrolled, Perry Green in that debate they had. And Nick did too, right? Nick from Signs and Wonders. But people have mixed opinions on Nick. I never said it we're like buddies or anything, but whenever I go on Nick's stream, he's always respectful towards me. So I don't have any beef with Nick. But we're cool. I know my guy Jay. Jay doesn't really like Nick, but hey, that's between the two of them, right? I'm not going to get involved in that. Well, Caden, not only does he say it's impossible for him to sin, we have him on video saying that he is equal to Jesus, right? Harry literally said that he is equal to Christ. That's hilarious. Oh, let me see. I was thinking about something. I was watching a video earlier today. It was by Captain Tazaryach from the ISUPK. And he went on, I believe, what's this dude? Tony, right? Something Tony. It's like a Christian ministry channel. I think his name is Pastor Tony. And, did like an open panel for people to call in with like questions about the topic about, is Jesus God or stuff like that. But there was one dude who called in and he mentioned as he was having the conversation, he said that, Pastor Dowell, which for the record is not the same one that I'm talking about that you mentioned, Tony. This is like a famous pastor. I'm probably mispronouncing the name. But he was saying this big famous pastor he said he had more works than Jesus did. Right? Like this dude literally came on there and said, this famous pastor, here in the 21st century that like travels the world, Pastor Dowell or something. And, you're saying, yeah, this guy got more works than Jesus does. Like, wow, what? Wait, so this guy going around teaching people about Jesus, this guy has more works than Jesus? Wow, that's crazy. I know it says in the Gospel of John, the last chapter and literally the last verse, you can look this up. It says that there were so many things that Christ did, like so many miracles and teachings he had on the earth that were not written down, that even the entire world itself couldn't contain the amount of books that could be written about all of the things that he did, right? All the stories and all the miracles and things that he did that we don't have in the Bible. Because when you read the Gospels, it's not literally the entire story. It's like, bits and pieces of it, like the main portions that's worth knowing. Like, I'll give an example. Have you ever wrote a summary in school? Like in elementary, they'll give you a book, and instead of a test on it, you'll have to write a summary as to like, what's the plot of it? What are some things that happened in it? And you got to like, make it all make sense, but condensing the story, right? So that's what the Gospels are. It's not the entire story of what Christ did and, how he lived and all his teachings, but it's a big summary as to what entirely happened. That's like the best way to put it. Oh, and not only did this dude say that this guy did more works than Jesus, but he said that this guy went and like brought a person back from the dead. It's like, well, first of all, where the hell is a video of this taking place? And then second of all, even if there was a video, how the hell do we know it's not like some of these exorcisms that some of these churches are doing, right? These fake videos that get, actors in there to make it look like they're possessed by demons, like for the publicity of the church. Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. Right? It's like, how the hell do we know it's not like one of them again? Again, going back to the statement I said earlier, man, it's easier to deceive a person than it is to convince them that they got deceived. Right? So that dummy who was on the stream talking about, oh, with this famous pastor, whatever his name is, he does more works than Jesus. It's like, wow, that's pretty bizarre, but hey, nothing is surprising anymore, it seems. It's like every other week, there's just more garbage and nonsense that people are making up. And sorry I missed some of the comments here. I'll get to address some of them, probably not all, though. Yeah, yeah, that's I like how you put that. A summary that's called a book. Right. As I said, the Gospels, when we read them, they're a summary of the teachings, the life of Christ, and his resurrection, and then we read about the apostles and their work. But it's not everything that happened, right? It's only like a selected amount out of a whole story, because you can't write every literal detail down, right? It's just like a massive summary for us to understand it in basic terms. Hell, like I'll give you an example, right? Like you might read a book about some of the historical events, such as the First or Second World War, or like India's history, something like that. Of course, it's not every single detail that's put down for you, but it's a summary as to the history of those countries, or the history about what happened in the First or Second World War, right? But obviously, you're not going to get every detail. So that's a good way to put it. Yeah, that's cool, Gaten. Thanks for stopping by. I'm just looking at something in the back chat. A whole nother thing lately, in the Israelite community, is this whole topic about the new covenant, right? Like there's recently, in the last, say, 2 weeks now, big back and forth between IUIC, ISUPK, and the Genesis dudes, right? What is this guy? Deacon's camp, right? Deacon Hakah, the dude they break off from the Sakari camp. So long story short, I'm not getting this whole thing, but what happened was this dude Tazaryach decided not to do the debate, which we said, hey, that guy's running from it. The dude sitting on here saying that he'd debate anybody about the Bible, but then when Deacon said, well, why don't we have a discussion about the new covenant, and they didn't want to do that. So what happened was Deacon sent this dude Hasad. I call him Fasad, right? That guy's a Fasad, inside joke. But he sent Fasad over there to call into the live stream that what was this camp called? ISUPK. They do a live stream every Thursday night. It's called, you want to look the channel up, it's called Cross the Line Radio. And that's, like the radio show they do every Thursday, where you're able to like call in, have conversations, and stuff like that, right? So D. Kuhn sent Fasad to, invade the stream and, corner Tazaryach on the topic. And, it was actually a good conversation. I believe it was like maybe an hour, 10 minutes or something like that. But it was a good conversation. I think Fasad actually won. Hasad won the discussion. He had better points than the captain did. But overall, it was a decent, reasonable conversation. I take Genesis side on that, and I think most Israelite camps, such as Great Millstone, among others, that were not in the new covenant today, because, I mean, again, you can break it down very simply. Like, it doesn't have to be some type of like deep thing that you need, like, 2 hour, video breaking down. It can be broken down very simply, such as when you read, was it Jeremiah 31 and Hebrews 8? When you read both of those chapters, they talk about the new covenant. And in simple terms, they break it down and say that in the new covenant, everybody from the least unto the greatest would all know the Lord, and he would have his laws written on their inward parts. And that's the qualifications of the new covenant. And we don't see that today. First of all, if everybody knew God from the least to the greatest, why the hell is everybody still having debates about God and about his character? And then you got a whole other portion of people who don't even believe. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, first and foremost, that shows we're not in the new covenant, because it says that in it, everybody from the least unto the greatest would all know the Lord. So clearly that's not taking place. And then the second point, it says that in the new covenant, everybody would know the laws on their inward parts, right? He would write it on their heart. Well, that's not happening right now today. In fact, I guarantee that most people out here who claim that they believe in God and claim they know God, they probably don't even know the 10 commandments off the top of their head. I'd be willing to bet money that most of these people only know like maybe 4 or 5 out of the 10. And then if we talk about naming them in order, oh, forget it. I mean, we're talking about like 1 in 1,000 Christians could probably do that, right? Hell, 1 in 1,000 Israelites probably. You know what I'm saying? And that's only 10. We're not even talking about the other 603 commands and guidelines besides the 10, right? So, hell, if we're talking about the other 603, then forget it then. None of these dudes can name that off the top of the head. Not even I can do that. So again, going by the qualifications that the Bible gives about the new covenant, we don't see that happening today. So the stance on it is the new covenant will be established once Christ returns and sets up his kingdom on earth. Right? That's when we're going to be brought under the new covenant, but that's not happening today. I think a lot of people just have a misunderstanding as to, the covenants and, what they mean. That's an interesting one. He said, and he's talking about Perry here. He said, does he not know that him being unable to disobey God is quite literally a free will violation? Well, we don't, over here, we don't subscribe to the free will. We believe that God already predestinated everything. But with that being said, I do think like little insignificant things you're allowed to choose. But as far as like salvation or like your life's direction, that's already chosen for you. Hell, like I'll give you an example. You read Jeremiah, what is that, 1:5, right? God told Jeremiah that before he was even in his mother's womb, he already knew him and already preordained him to be a prophet to the nations. Right, so God already preordained him to be a prophet to the people before he was even alive, before he was even born. Right, so that's an example of a man who was predestinated. Ephesians 1, 4, and 5. That's a good example. It talks about how we were all predestinated. Right, he predestinated us. It literally uses the term in the verse. But of course, you might want to read the whole chapter for context. But I do think God gives you like minimal options at like that you can choose, right? I think you get minimal options, such as, I'll give you an example. I think God gives you the liberty to choose if you want to wear a blue shirt, a red shirt, an orange shirt, if you want to drive and listen to the radio, if you want to get a pink or orange car, right? Stuff like that. That's your choice. You can choose those things with a certain amount of free will, but that's on like little insignificant things. But when we talk about like the significant things, such as, are you going to be a believer or not? Are you, what do you believe? Your life's direction, stuff like that. And that's already all preordained. But just a little insignificant things in life that you're allowed to choose. I think that's a good way to look at it. And we're almost at half an hour already. Oh, another thing I wanted to talk about. There's a guy. At first, I thought he was a troll, but then I read his whole comment. I was like, oh shit, this guy knows a whole lot about my history. People I've interacted with. Far beyond like today. So this guy's a real dude, whatever brother's name was. But he was saying he was concerned. He said that this guy Samuel Owens, which is another fruitcake that believes that he's like Jesus or something, right? That dude literally holds a damn broomstick and a long knight's sword, and says that he is Jesus Christ ruling the world from New Jerusalem and Trailer Park on High Holy Hill. Which I'm not even making it up, by the way. That's literally what he claims, right? Right. So he was saying that this guy was concerned. He thought that the King Lion, aka the Loving Christian, he was saying that the Loving Christian and this dude Samuel Owens, they're actually the same dude. And he was saying that, well, they're both in England. They both sound similar. So just be just be on the watch, ETT. They might be trying to trick you because remember what happened with Rock, and Ridge, and all those guys. Then, Loving Christian might just be playing games, to trick people. And I could see why he was concerned, but I responded and was saying, well, no, clearly they're not the same person because first of all, I've known the King Lion, aka Loving Christian. I've known him since 2016. So we're talking about what is that, like 8 years, something like that? Known this dude. As far as Sam, I've known that dude for probably 3 years. Um, bear with me a second. Excuse the traffic. There's nothing I can do about that in the background. But going back to what I was saying, is I can tell these are two separate people because first of all, they all are saying different things. They all teach different things. And then two, even though it is true that both of them are in England, right? They're both in the same country, but that doesn't prove they're the same person. And then three, they sound different. And then the nail in the coffin to prove that they're not the same person is because I've seen what both of them look like, right? Loving Christian, no offense to that brother, but he's obese, and sits around and watches TV all day. And Sammy Owen is a thin twig, right? That sits on the trailer park couch all day, So, and I believe the one has a beard and the other one doesn't. At least last time I've seen, So again, off of those couple of basic examples, can show that these guys are clearly not the same person. But I thank him for being on the lookout, though. But they're not the same. Yeah. Oh, and then this guy here, Lashawan Zahar, that dude was on my comment board, and respect to that brother. I don't think he's affiliated with like GMS or any stuff like that, but he's probably a cool brother. But I saw he was in my comment board the other day, and he was asking like, the horror said, such and such, and I was like, I'll look into it. Then he asked me, well, what are some things that you would say that GMS is an error on? And then, I gave him a list of a couple examples, such as, the horror said that, well, I won't mention the one on here, but I gave him a couple examples. Oh, like I'll give you this one. Like Tahar said that Christ was born to a wealthy family. I was thinking to myself, wait, what? How the hell was Christ born to a wealthy family? I mean, a dude was born in a barn stable with animals, right? And then two, the Bible says that that the Son of Man doesn't even have anywhere to lay his head at night. So I mean, if he was from a wealthy family, I would think they have, at least a favela or something for him, right? right? A Rio Brazil style favela. You know what I'm saying? So nah, again, all due respect to the apostles of GMS, but yeah, there's clearly a few errors in the doctrine, and it's again, it's nothing to hide on that, right? There's clearly a couple errors. Doesn't mean that they're false. Doesn't mean they're not men of the Lord, but we shouldn't just regurgitate something because people say so. In fact, they've said, because unlike a lot of other people, I actually watch their streams when they go out to New York, and set up their live stream, in real time. And I watch them, and they've even said multiple times, hey, if you hear something we say that doesn't sit well, look into it, right? And a lot of the times you'll find out we were right. And lo and behold, that is true. A lot of the times they are right on information, but then there are some times where they're wrong on information. Like I'll give one of the major points of contention, and this is the point of contention I have with most One West camps, and that is that most of these camps, by vast majority, with the exception of the Sakari, which they were clueless on this as well, but they said they don't believe in a heliocentric, spinning globe. But one of my major points of contention with some of these camps is they teach a they teach a heliocentric Earth, but the Bible teaches a geocentric Earth. Right? That's a point of contention right there. In fact, a lot of these guys don't even know what the word geocentric or heliocentric means, and I'll prove it. I called into Captain Tazaryach's stream a couple of days ago, and I asked him, a couple of verses that talk about the sun and the moon and how they're in like rotation and how they move, and I was asking him about it. And he was clueless. He didn't really know. But then I asked him, well, geocentric, heliocentric, and then he stopped me. It's like, well, wait, I don't really know what those words mean. Wait, you don't know what geocentric or heliocentric means? Like, how does that make any sense? It's laughable. But I didn't give him a hard time. I was just calling in, to just ask him a question or two on it. But yeah, that would be a point of disagreement because the Bible teaches the earth is stationary and doesn't move. But these guys teaching that the sun's in the center and that the earth is in rotation around it, which is what they have to believe if they believe in the heliocentric model, because that's the science. You have to believe in the science behind it, otherwise the model doesn't work. So I think a lot of camps are just unstudied on the topic. In fact, I'll let you in on a little secret. Since I've been in the truth a whole number of years, in fact, I want to say maybe in 2 months' time, I'm coming up on 10 years in the truth, right? And at like 2 months' time, I'm coming up on 10 years now that I've been in the know, right? So out of my years, I've talked to some of these GMS members on like, on private apps outside of YouTube, right? And I'm not going to put any names out there, but there are a couple people in GMS, like official members that are in camps, who told me that they're looking into the flat earth, right? They're on the fence, right? Like they're looking into it. But some of them said, we don't really want to mention anything because we don't want to get kicked out of our camp. And again, I'm not going to put any names out there, but they're out there, man, right? So some of these guys are looking into it, and they should, because again, it's a lot of information that backs it up. I'll read this guy's comment. Let me see. Let's see. This guy, he said, I believe he was trying to say that just because Joseph was a carpenter, which would have probably been a lucrative business, then they would have been rich. Well, a carpenter, like even today, right? Like I know people who are into carpentry and, making furniture. Hell, even the Amish, right? Like they make it handmade without like any of the modern day, tools and, ways we have it to make it easier for us now, right? And hell, they're not wealthy. right? So sure, there could be a handful of carpenters who might have some money, but as far as I know, they're still struggling like the rest of us, right? Carpenters are living paycheck to paycheck like the rest of us. You know what I'm saying? So no, they wouldn't they wouldn't be rich back then. I mean that's just like another job. Like say for instance, right? Because back then you had forgeries, right, where men would make weapons of war. They didn't have a lot of money. They were living paycheck to paycheck, just as we are today. Even though they're literally making the weapons that defend the king's kingdom, right? They're getting like slave labor, just as we are today, right? Working, our ass off for $10 an hour if you're lucky. You know what I'm saying? So no, Christ wasn't born to a wealthy family. That's nonsense. He was a poor man. Again, the Bible says that he didn't even have a place to lay his head. So I don't know how he was like wealthy or whatnot if he doesn't even have a bed to lay on at night. You get what I'm saying? Let me see. Uh, yeah, I'll read this. He said, "My thing is that if the elders say double check us, then they shouldn't be getting mad or in their feelings when they get double checked." Yeah, that's a good point, man. Good way to look at it. Excuse the noise. I'm crossing under a bridge here, but yeah, man. Again, if the beliefs were true, such as the geocentric versus the heliocentric model, right? If the heliocentric model of the universe was true, it would be able to defend itself when it's questioned, but we quickly find out that it's not as defendable as people usually believe, right? Like, I'll give an example. Like a couple of days ago, I called into a random podcast on YouTube, and it was a friendly podcast. People were asking me, questions or not, because I went on there and I used the term "the preacher" just as like a inside joke for those who know. And I was taking questions from the audience or whatnot, and then I turned it on all of them, and I was asking, well, hey, what are some reasons that y'all believe that you are spinning around a endless universe stuck to the underside of a spinning ball? Like what is how do any of y'all know that? And as I already saw coming like 2 miles ahead before time, all of the answers I would get for it are just, brainwash, regurgitation of so-called science they learned in school. You know what I'm saying? And it's sad if you think about it at the end of the day. But this is the level that people are on out here. Hold on. So I was on there. And, you had to. I was joking with Jamie the other day, right? Hell, when I go on Jamie's show, I have to dumb everything down to elementary level. Right, right. So that's what you got to do when you go onto some of these platforms on YouTube. Got to dumb everything down to elementary. For these knuckleheads to be able to get what you're talking about like half the time. And it's funny how childish it is. It really is. Um, Bear with me. I'm just walking here. Oh, and then a whole other thing to talk about. I was watching a conversation the other day on this channel. What is this channel called? Oh, damn. It'll come back to me in a minute. Oh, I believe the YouTube channel is called like Standing for Truth or something like that. And there was a discussion had between this dude who comes on my comment board. I believe the cat calls himself the Full Preterist or something like that. And this other pastor, and they were having a whole conversation about like the eschatology, right? The one believes, everything already happened, 2,000 years ago. The other one believes that it's like going to happen sometime soon. And, it always makes for an interesting conversation to have those dialogues. But nine times out of 10, it's, always a clear winner, right? It's always the, as they call them, futurist, right? As they call us futurists, which again, we don't go by that term. But hey, if that's what you want to call it, then you call it that. Hell, like I'll give an example, right? People call us black Hebrew Israelites. Well, first of all, a lot of us are not black, right? Like, look at me. I fit onto the 12 tribes chart that these camps go by, right? So they consider me to be a brother, right? But I'm not black. So again, they use terms like that to, to play on people's emotions. We just call ourselves the Israelites, so they use certain terms to play on people's emotions to incite a reaction from people. That's what they do typically. Oh, that's a, hold on a second. I just passed by a sign up, which I'm not going to show it on here, with a sign about, you can donate to help, cure cancer or whatever. And, it brought up to mind, it's like, wait a second, hold on. This is a good point, right? If here it is, according to these, full preterist, knuckleheads, if we're living in heaven right now, well, why the hell is there all these diseases and, and problems that the people are having? It's like, doesn't it say that all that's going to be done away with when you read the last 2 chapters of the Bible? So how the hell is it that we got, millions of people that got, cancer and some of these, lifelong diseases that, and issues, if we're living in heaven right now? I mean, again, that's not true, right? It's just not true. It's bullshit, right? It's clear nonsense. Just going to call it what it is, and if people can't see that, then they just don't know what's going on. I mean, you don't have to dumb everything down to elementary level. You know what I'm saying? It's really bizarre how some of these people think out here, and then especially go on YouTube and try to teach like this dumbass Perry Green, right, the preacher, right? Go on YouTube, tell people, all you got to do is say you believe this guy died and rose again, and you can literally worship the devil and still go to heaven. It's like, wow. So to these preterists, why the hell are people going around today and completely like spitting on Christ, like metaphorically spitting on Christ? And that's what people like Perry Green are doing. Like I talked to a dude the other day, I believe this guy's channel is named Gen X Jeff. Right, Gen X Jeff is the name of this guy's channel. And, he told me that he is a Satanist Christian. And he wasn't even joking around. He was being serious when he said that. Like, at first I was like, oh, well, he's just joking, to try to incite a reaction from the audience. But then I pressed him on it, and it shows that he does really believe it, because he went to, like, some sources. He quoted a book that he got some of his beliefs from that was, like, written by, of course, get this, it was written by some type of Freemason Satanist, right? So wow, that's just shocking to me. So this dummy sitting there believes that he can be a Satanist and a Christian at the same time. It's as I said, it's very bizarre. It's very bizarre, some of the garbage that people believe out here. But again, according to these dummies on the internet, this is the kingdom here. It's like, wow, that's just pretty strange, but But again, you just got to let idiots believe what they want sometimes. That's just how you got to look at it. Like, say, for instance, I've invited some of these dudes on my show before. I don't mind having a conversation about the topic. That's fine. But, comes a point when, hell, we're beyond that at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's like, shit, the world's on the verge of the Third World War on multiple fronts. But these idiots want to talk about if we're living in heaven right now. Right? And what's remarkable to me is these guys have an audience of people who watch them, right? Like, these guys have dedicated followers. Some of them even more than me. That's very strange. And it's like, a whole nother thing. It's like, well, what is the hope in the full preterist doctrine, right? Because at least we're sitting here telling our people that there's good news. Because who people call Christ, which is actually a black man, he's coming back soon and he's going to set this place right. He's going to bring judgment on America and on the other nations, and he's going to set up a righteous kingdom on this earth. And there's not going to be any of this nonsense that are going on today, man. But all these things are going to be set up right. And that's what we're looking for, and that's what we're telling people. That's the good news we're telling people, that, the hard life we all got to live and, grew up living, and all of the nonsense we see going on in society and around the world, all of this is going to be judged. But what are these? What's the hope of the full preterist doctrine? Because they're already in their kingdom, right? They're already in there forever. Then Dummy was like, "Oh, you die, and when you pass away, you go to heaven." It's like, well, Dummy, you do know the Bible says that heaven's going to be on earth, right? Like, Revelation literally depicts the kingdom coming down. Was that Matthew the 6th chapter talks about the kingdom coming down to the earth, right? It says, "Thy kingdom come." Well, where the hell is it coming from, right? Where's it coming from, and where's it going to? Obviously, the earth, right? Among other examples. But it's like, what the hell hope do these guys have? And what hope are they teaching the people? Because they're telling people we're already in eternity. So their message is, hey, just get comfortable with how things are, because this is it, right? We're already in the kingdom, according to these knuckleheads. No, again, it's very bizarre, but again, it's very easy to deceive some people and to believe in garbage. And there's no lack of that. Oh, a whole other one. Let's talk about this. I was on a stream the other day. I went on this cat, THEO, right? This dude, THEO, this old, what is this guy, like in the 70s? Right, dude got that Santa Claus beard. And I went on this panel the other day just to, mess around with some of these people. And I was actually intrigued because I've heard people say that THEO teaches, what is it called? Universalism. And no, if anybody's wondering, that's not a Catholic belief. It's different. Even though the word Catholic means universal, the universalism that these guys teach is that, like, Christ is literally going to save everybody. Right? That's what these guys believe, right? That everybody on earth is going to, like, go to heaven. And that's what they believe, which is, again, it's just so stupid. It's hilarious. And what they'll do is they'll pull up verses that say something like, God's going to be all in all, or he died for all, or, they harp on this word all and try to say, well, see, that means like everybody on earth, even the, Muslims, atheists, Satanists, all of them are all going to be saved when Christ comes back. Because they look, the Bible says all. And then me, as, the slick one I am, I hop on and ask them, well, wait a second, I got a question for you. When the Bible says that all would be forced to receive a mark in the hand, does that mean that literally all are going to get it? And the answer is no, but the Bible uses the word all, right? So clearly, the word all has context to it, right? Not every time you see the word all in the Bible, it does not always mean like literally everyone. Sometimes there are contexts to words. Like I'll give you another one, right? If you read Luke chapter 2, verse 1, it said there went a decree from the Caesar that all the world should be taxed. Now, clearly, the entire world did not pay tribute like every nation on earth. It was just talking about the territory they had under their control. Again, it's very basic, right? So just off of these two examples, the one in Revelation and the one in Luke 2, prove what's that? All right. Yeah. All right. Sorry about that. Just had to let someone go by. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, um, the all is not literally all. And clearly it's shown, right? Just off of the couple examples that I have given. And again, there's more, right? There's clearly more that, like, say, for instance, there's a verse that talks about that all the world went after Christ. You can look it up. It's like, well, no, all the world didn't go after Christ. Hell, not back then and not today is all the world going after him. So clearly there's context. Just another way to prove it, right? But these guys, they won't accept that all says all. Then the one gray head even agreed with me that, yeah, in some verses when you see all, sometimes it means context, but other times it just means what it says. Again, it's really funny, really funny. But I got a good laugh out of that when I went on there, to try to talk to those guys. Yeah, so yeah, universalism is clearly garbage. And it's just another, thing these guys believe, but without any evidence of it. Only because it's just so much more. Hold on. But yeah, it's I don't even know what else to say about it, honestly. I mean, it's so easy to refute. Oh, and then there was this one dummy in the comment section. I'll mention this because it goes along with the universalism. There was this one dummy in the comment section who was saying that even THEO, could see through you, ETT. You weren't being slick. It's like, well, dummy, who the hell is being slick? I just came up to ask the dude a question because I heard people say that he teaches universalism, right? So when the stream's entitled "Open Panel" for people to join, I don't know what is so slick about just asking a question, right? Now, sure, we got into a deeper conversation, but I mean, anybody that watches that clearly see it. These guys got cooked, right? These guys got cooked in that conversation. I just gotta watch the road here. So I won't go for too much longer. We're almost at an hour, but we'll round it up. And a whole nother point, right? To go back to these full preterist idiots. A whole nother point to mention is, if we're really, in the kingdom right now, well, why the hell are there all these nations that are in the fights right now, right? Like military, fights or wars, as it should be called, right? Why the hell is all this going on? Hey, how you doing, Manny? Yes, I am doing a walk-in talk. It's been a while, man. Shit, I attempted one yesterday, but that didn't go too well. But yeah, man. Good to see you around, man. It's been a while. But yeah, just a walk and talk. Hell, sometimes you gotta vent, right? Sometimes you gotta get some of that steam off, right? And talk about some of these peons, knuckleheads on YouTube. Oh, this guy. Carl said, hold on, I'll read it in a second. Hold on. Yeah, Carl joked around and he said, "I'm in the kingdom, the UK." LOL. Yeah, yeah. But hey, these guys are serious though, right, Carl? Like these idiots on YouTube, they're serious when they say that, right? They literally think that that's the kingdom, right? Like Christ is down and reigning over everybody. It's bizarre, which I probably said that like 20 times, but it's again, I don't know what other word to use as since I'm trying to keep it a PG stream. You get what I'm saying? So I don't know what other word to use for these peons. So hell, what I'm saying is the most polite thing you can say, basically. But again, it's we should really laugh at these people at this point. It's we're really almost past the point of doing conversations. It's truly just funny at this point how anybody could claim to be an intelligent person and believe that Christ came back. The Bible is a history book. Like everything in there already happened. So we're just, living after that time, right? So this is the eternity. Everything in the Bible took place 2,000 years ago, and that's the end of the story, right? That's hilarious. It's preposterous, you know. And when you question these people, they get cornered into a corner, for lack of better words, and they don't really have any way out of some of these hard hitting questions that you could hit them with. Hell, like I even debated what's this guy Elvin, which is the apostle, the right hand, right? He sits on the right hand of Pastor William Bell, which is like a world famous full preterist that's been teaching full preterism for 40 plus years. Right? I've had a debate with Elvin maybe a year and a half ago, and man, that was real sour. Right, went real sour for him real quick in that conversation. But I won't spoil it. Y'all can watch that yourself to see what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's cool, Carl. That's cool. I'll read it. He said, "I know, mate. People are sick. Keep up the good work, brother. Enjoy your work." Yeah, appreciate it, Carl. Yeah, like I even had somebody in the comments the other day, which is the same brother that was concerned about Samuel Owen, which I mentioned like 40 minutes ago. But the other thing he was saying, hey, a lot of people, don't appreciate your work, what you do, but he appreciates it, and that's always respectable. Because again, a lot of people don't know my background, think that I just popped up like 2 weeks ago and, go around and talk shit. But no, I've been through, I've been in the truth for about 10 years, right? Not a lot of people can say that, so, what I'm looking for. So again, I've seen a thing or two, so I know what I'm talking about. Most of the dudes that I used to hang out with, a lot of those dudes, again, I can't say all of them because there's still one or two around now, but most of those dudes, man, are just doing bullshit in the world, actively living in sin, right? Right? Like I don't know what the hell Kyle is doing these days. Last time I talked to Kyle was like 4 years ago. Try to call him, the number don't work. Can't contact him on YouTube because it won't answer the comments. So I don't know what the hell he's up to. Rock, talk to him. Well, he's John. We call him Rock because that's what he's known on YouTube by. Last thing I know, dude's walking that damn, what is it, Domino's or Pizza Hut? Yeah, something like that. And yeah, I was trying to set up a conversation. I could bring him on because he hangs out with my buddy Mark. Right, I got a buddy that I grew up with, known Mark since I was like maybe 9 years old or something like that. And he hangs out with John. They know each other, which that's a funny story in itself. But I don't got enough time to talk about that here. But But yeah, try to contact him to set something up. But it's hard to get in contact with him. But I'll keep trying. We'll see where that goes. Let's see. Which we're going to be winding down in a couple of minutes here, right? I'm not going to end it just yet, but we're winding down because I didn't anticipate to go much longer than an hour today. And I'm walking over to this lake over here, and it's evaporated. Like, well, it's gonna. I gotta wait till I get up there to see. But last time I was down here, the water level dropped like 10 feet, so it might even be 15 now. Sure, it's me. I'm just walking. Almost there. Oh wow. Yeah, we're talking like 15 feet, 20 feet easy. Sometimes people come over here and go scuba diving. The water's over here. I don't know if I can put. Hold on a second. Yeah, I don't think I can put the camera on to show y'all because it's a little bit of work I'd have to do to get the right angle. But yeah, hell, it's so far down now that I'm just noticing there's like a boat dock that like they built into it that you can only realize it now that the waters decrease by like 20 feet. And when I say 20 feet, I mean like slope, like slope backwards. Like I guess a good way to describe it when you go to the beach, right? Like there's a high tide and low tide. This would be low tide, just to visualize it. Right, so more of the beach is visible. Jacob asked, "How do you keep up with the feast days? What sources you use?" Well, I'll be honest with you, man. Um, I'm certainly not the most knowledgeable when it comes to the feast days and keeping up with all that. So I rely on men who have done more research than I myself have, such as the GMS apostles. I go by the information they give on it because they're much more experienced than I am. But of course, with that being said, that doesn't mean that I now believe everything they say. Right? You got to take the meat and leave the bones, as the saying goes, man. So again, when it comes to that stuff, I think they're more knowledgeable. Is it 100% correct? Probably not. But then again, we're living in Babylon the Great, so everything is effed up and out of whack, so I think the Lord will have mercy on us, because of the situation. Shit, we don't even know what day of the week it actually is because the calendar used today is a man-made calendar. So they claim today is like is Wednesday, but how the hell do we know it's not like Thursday? And the answer is we're just going by what man made up, right? So again, I think the Lord will have mercy on us because he knows the situation we're in. We're not going to guess everything completely right, due to the state that everything is in today, so that's how I look at it, man. Yeah, that's cool, Jacob. Think that's the way to go, the time we're in now, man. And I'll say it before. I've said it many times before, and I'll say it again. That even though I have a few disagreements with GMS, I think that they're like the number one Israelite camp that came out of One West. And I've always been saying that for years, right? Nobody can tell me I haven't because I've been saying that longer than some of y'all been on YouTube for. right? So again, and they know who I am. You can ask the horror, you know about that guy ETT? Oh yeah, we know about that dude. Right, those guys, those brothers know about me. Yeah, the horror subscribed to me. He watches my videos. Like, yeah, he showed me a couple of his videos before, like that debate I did with Vocab Malone maybe 2 years ago. He liked that. He thought that was a pretty good discussion. You know, I'm looking over to my right, over into the river, and somehow somebody got a damn grocery cart. Like, what is that? Like 200 feet? 200 feet away. It's like next to the a pillar of a bridge over there. How the hell did they get that 200 feet away from the shoreline? And this isn't no uh, river that you can just walk across. This is the Delaware, man. Now, this thing goes down at least, well, in this area, it goes down at least 20 feet, maybe 25 foot. Because I've seen scuba diving videos from this area, right, where the dudes go under the water, go down at least 15, 20, 25 foot. So I don't know how the hell they ended up over there, but I don't know. Just happened to see that out the corner of my eye over there. Let me see. I'll leave it on for a minute or two. Hell, I gotta wait for a ride anyway. Oh, my ride might be here, so I see it over there. All right, well, I'm gonna close up the stream with that. Hope everybody found it interesting. Anybody made it again? But hashtag Jacob. We'll give him a little shout out since he showed up late. Hashtag Jacob if anybody made it to the end. Shalom.